Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. You know the drill by now. We're in the studio. We're live. So get involved in the chat and comments. And don't forget as well to hit like, share, and subscribe. We'll be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. We'll have an update on the takeover, an update on potential targets as well. And, of course, a bit of Cody Gakpo news because that's all everyone is talking about, isn't it? Cody Gakpo, when is he going to come? Is he going to come? We'll be getting into all them. So let us know what you think about anything Manchester United related or even anything that's not United related. If you just want to have a chat, just get involved in the chat. It's fine. Loads of people saying good morning, Sam Mercer. Morning, Santa. Oh, not to me. That's the Santa Notch in the chat as well. Santa Notch did that. Yes, fa la 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 la. He did a funny, very funny video yesterday on Twitter. If you go and check this out, Danny Inns, Sam Mercer, Morning Jay, Music Ali, great to see all you guys. Rebecca Jade Sullivan in the chat as well. Also Andy Long, Morning Baldylocks. He was the first one to comment there before we even went live. So yeah, I've been called worse. I'm not gonna lie. So we get into some stories. Right backs. Now, according to Florian Plettenberg, even if I get my words out, United are in for some right backs. Now, this has been a sort of ongoing thing here. Yeah, there we go. Can see that. So we've got a player here that we're looking at. I mean, we've got a few, to be honest with you. There's Gusto, there's Frimpong, there's Dumfries. Yeah, there's like three there that we've been linked with. Now, the Denzel Dumfries one has been going for a little while. If you remember, we were linked with him in the summer. It looked like at one point that was going to happen. Then it died down a little bit. Now, because he's had a decent World Cup, it sort of pops back up again. The Malo Gusto one, I think this is a kid from Lyon, innit? That's relatively new. I don't know what the sort of the latest there, but you can see there, the 19-year-old is very highly rated at Man United and he's one of several top targets. So it's not really saying that, you know, it looks like we're about to get him or anything. It's just saying, you know, that he's basically on our list. 30 to 40 million euros certainly seems like it's doable. Jeremy Frimpong is another one that's relatively a new sort of story, that one. I think Dumfries is the one that's been doing the rounds for a little while. Frimpong and Gusto, kind of new. But it's obvious from everywhere we're hearing that Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag are looking at a right back. We want a right back. Because what we've had in the past is Diogo Dalot, who's been very reliable for Erik Ten Hag, and I like Dalot. I think he's a good player, and I think he keeps getting better, and I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet. But he's like our only right back that Erik Ten Hag seems to trust. Because when he was suspended the other day, I can't remember which game it was from, he got suspended, didn't he, for his book because he was booking at Villa. Then it was Malacia who came in, I think, and moved over to right back, and he's a left back. I think we have a little bit of an issue there. Now, we saw Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing in pre-season. Sorry, I keep saying pre-season. It wasn't pre-season, was it? It was a mid-season friendly because the World Cup's obviously in the winter. So we saw him playing the other day against Real Betis. But he just doesn't seem to fancy him, does he? For whatever reason, Erik Ten Hag just doesn't seem to fancy Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And again, the sort of smart money is on Aaron Wan-Bissaka moving on. Brandon Williams, don't forget, can play at right back. But again, he's kind of become the forgotten man. He played in that friendly he played the other day. Predominantly has played on the left for Manchester United, but is right-footed, so could play at right back. But Erik Ten Hag doesn't seem to want these players. And even though I like Brandon Williams, and I think Wan-Bissaka can do a job as a backup, I understand the manager's thinking. Sometimes as a manager, you just come into a club, you look at players and you just go, they're not for me. And he's been quite sort of decisive, Erik Ten Hag. I don't think there's been any ambiguity with certain players. He seems to have sort of come in straight away and gone, you're not for me, you're not, or whatever. He's sort of set his stall out quite quickly. And I think that's helped Manchester United because there was loads of sort of questions when he came in, who's going to be the goalkeeper, who's going to be the captain, you know, does he still like, you know, what's happening with Andy Martial, what's happening with Marcus Rashford, who's not, you know, who was struggling for form. Scott McTominay had been struggling for form last season. Does he rate these players? And he came in and he was like, you know what, these players are rate. This is my captain, this is my goalkeeper. The rest is just a load of noise I'm not getting into. So I understand that, even though I might not completely agree with it. He doesn't rate these players. We need another right back. So those three that I've mentioned seem to be the sort of the favourites. Obviously being reported there, as you can see. Let us know in the comments in the chat. Do you have a preference? Who would you like to see? Do you think any of them come in and take the place of Diogo Dalot, or are they coming in as a backup? Because that's another thing. Malacia wasn't too difficult because it was a 40 million euro signing, who probably knew when he came to United he was going to have to fight to get in the team and might not be first choice. And he's a youngster, he's got a lot of football left in him, didn't cost the earth. So that was probably acceptable to him. And let's not forget, so he's played quite a few games. He came in obviously for a few games. Seems to have give Luke Shaw a bit of a kick up the backside. And now Luke Shaw's playing as well as he's played, well, probably as well as he's ever played. Certainly had a good tournament with England and was having a good spell at Manchester United. So Malassia's going to have to sort of make do as being the backup for now anyway. Would the likes of Denzel Dumfries or Frimpong or Gusto come in and be like, yeah, I'm happy to come to Manchester United and be second fiddle to Diogo Dalot? Or do you think they come in as first choice and Dalot drops back to being second choice? Because let's not forget, for most of his Manchester United career, Diogo Dalot has not been a starter for Manchester United. At one point, he got loaned to AC Milan, and other than that, he was basically back up to Aaron Wan-Bissaka until last season. And then it was towards the end of last season that he became the sort of the go-to guy under Ralf Rangnick, and that's carried on with Erik ten Hag. Let us know what you think. I'm interested to know what you guys think. Who do you want to see at right back? Do you want to see any of those three? Do you want to stick with Dalot? Do you want to see someone else? Do you want to see the likes of Brandon Williams or Aaron Wan-Bissaka or maybe Ethan Laird? Let us know. Let's have a look at what everyone's saying. The Instant Strangler says, hardest working man on the paddock. Good to see you, lad. Like and share, Reds. Ruben C says, Jay, I missed out something. Where are our finances coming from again? I'm cool with these potential signings, but just can't wrap my head around it. It's a good question, that. Like, people going, well, we spent a lot of money in the summer. We know the Glazers don't spend money. It's our money, by the way. It's not theirs. Our money, hasten to add. Are we going to go big again in January, or are we going to sign anyone in January? But there's a couple of things to remember. One is that Ronaldo's off the books. That's a lot of money that we were spending on his wages. So that's probably frees up a bit of cash that you can put into some other players. There's also the potential that we might even get rid of someone in January. Someone like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, for example. Maybe you go, he was linked with Palace. Maybe he goes back to Palace for 20 million or something. And obviously taking a loss, but that's 20 million quid you could perhaps go and spend elsewhere. Also, and this is probably the most important thing, with the club up for sale now, when we were talking to Kieran Maguire from The Price of Football, he explained this. He said, because I asked him about this, I said, what's going to happen in terms of signings? And he said, what could happen, he doesn't know, we can only sort of speculate, is the Glazers might look at it and go, if we've got a club or a team that is in the Champions League places, and is challenging for those honours, or challenging to get into the Champions League, and looks like it could be in the Champions League next season, that makes the value of the club increase. So you can end up getting more money. So you might spend 50, 60 million in this transfer window, and that could end up increasing. If you get into the Champions League next season, or you look like you're a good bet for the Champions League next season, that can increase the value of the club by a couple of 100 million. So you're making more money. So it's worth your while. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That was just what he was speculating. Because Erik ten Hag seems to have a really good handle on what he's doing. I like him. I rate him. It's obvious to me, though, we need at least a striker or an attacker. We're already a bit threadbare, and we've lost Ronaldo. If you look at our attacking options, Greenwood, I'd be very surprised if he plays Manchester United again. Cristiano Ronaldo's gone. Anthony Martial has got these injury issues. Marcus Rashford, obviously, is doing well. Probably does his best work on the left. Is he the guy to lead the line? I'm not so sure, although he's an option there. So you need at least a backup. You need at least someone, or you need at least someone to come in and challenge. I don't think we've got enough. And if we are going to push for those Champions League places, and we are going to hopefully win some silverware, then I don't know if we can do it just relying on the attacking options we've got. Let us know what you guys think as well. Santa Notch says, it's almost become United DNA to take a loss on recruitment. We always do that, don't we? It's a good point. Jake Harvey said, we'd love to be a fly on the wall at Carrington to find out exactly what the deal with Aaron Wan-Bissaka is. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because this is a kid who came in, and when Aaron Wan-Bissaka came in, I really rated him, I thought for those first half of the season, I thought he was really good. I thought he was fantastic, actually. There was a little slight question marks about him going forward, but defensively, he was superb. And that sort of made up for any faults he may have going forward. And also, going forward, he wasn't that bad. There was a time when I think he had a few assists and a couple of goals as well. So it was like, he'd been relatively, for a fullback, productive. But second season wasn't great, and then bad. I think it was his third season, was it? Or I can't remember, I'm getting confused. I think it was his third season when it really started to go a bit wrong, didn't it? And now he's just, he doesn't look like he's even, in Erik ten Hag's thoughts. So he probably needs a move. He's still a young lad. He's still got a lot of football left in him. So yeah, it's just one of them where I think he moves on. Hopefully we can get some money in for him and invest that elsewhere. Ozzy Gamola says, you want to sell your house, you give it a lick of paint to make it more appealing. Same with selling club. We need a striker. Yeah, that's all it is, isn't it? It's just making it more appealing, I think. Should we talk about Erik ten Hag and Harry Maguire? we've got some quotes. I think Harry Maguire, Erik ten Hag has been talking about Harry Maguire, and he said there, you can see there, would he sell Maguire? He said, only when he doesn't want to be in these circumstances anymore. Until that moment, I am happy with him. He sort of stuck up for him a little bit. He was saying, you know, you can see the quotes there. I can only back him. It's clear he's good enough to play at the highest level. Then it's up to him to show that confidence on the pitch. And he didn't show that in all the games. He had a period in Manchester where he performed badly. And then, of course, there are difficulties. For England, he has good games almost all the time. We want him to bring that back to Manchester with him so he can bring it on the pitch for Manchester United. I expect from him, and the team knows what they expect from him. If he does that, he will be a great player for us. There's a little bit more as well, as you can see there. I think he had a really good World Cup. I agree. He was really consistent. When he's playing with his confidence like now, he's a massively important player for us, and that is what everyone expects. That's what Harry expects from himself, so it's up to him. I'm sure he has the potential to play in our style and fit into our system. There are laws of the game in top football. You have to take your chance. He will have a chance to show it, and then he's in, and he will play. So he's not closing the door there on Harry Maguire at United. I have a sneaky feeling that Harry Maguire may end up leaving soon. I think that the fact that he's obviously doing well for England, he's always done well for England. I don't get the hatred from England fans towards Harry Maguire. I don't know, you know, his record for England is, you know, semi-final, final, quarter-final. And he's played 50-odd games, whatever. You know, there's not many centre-halves who've had as many sort of appearances for England in the latter stages of tournaments as Harry Maguire. Or John Stones. So, yeah, I think his star's pretty high now because of his World Cup performances. I still think there's a lot of clubs that have him. Obviously, we're not going to get the 80 million back we paid for him. We overpaid for him. It's not Harry Maguire's fault, to be fair, but we did. I think you could probably get rid of him. Maybe you get, I don't know, 30, 40 million. He's still an England international. He's still a player that's played a lot of Premier League football and has played a lot of good games in the Premier League. He's finished second and third with Manchester United, don't forget. So it's not like his time at United's been a complete disaster. It hasn't. I just don't see him sticking around when he's third or even fourth choice centre back, because, you know, there was another part of that as well where Erik ten Hag talking about, you know, Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane, I think, being the first choice. We know that. We know they're our first choice centre backs, and also anything that any sort of metric you use to measure Harry Maguire by when it comes to international football, then Varane and Martinez are going, hello, we're still in the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Varane's won the World Cup. So it's not like if you're going to base it off international football, which I don't think you are, then you can go, well, look what he's done in the World Cup. You know, Martinez and Varane have gone one better. And also, Varane is one of the most successful defenders of all time in terms of what he's won. Won the World Cup, won countless Champions Leagues and La Ligas and all that other stuff as well. And Martinez was a signing by Erik ten Hag. He bought him for a reason, and he's been a fantastic player for Manchester United. So Harry Maguire, you know, he's down the pecking order, and I don't know if he'll want to wait around, especially with the Euros. You know, the next big tournament coming up. Is he going to want to stay at a club where he's not first choice? Because he kind of got away with it this season, because going into this season, he was first choice until this season. The World Cup was obviously earlier because it's in the winter. He still played some games as well. Don't forget Harry Maguire. He's still featured for Manchester United, you know, quite a few times. So it's not like he's been completely dropped. He's played in Europe. He's played in other league games as well. So it didn't affect him too much. I think if he stays at United and he has a season or another 2 seasons where he's not getting the team, will Gareth Southgate or whoever's the England manager still pick him? I'm not so sure. Jake Harvey says, he's arguably been England's best centre-half, so why England fans like to give him stick is beyond me. I don't mind Reds making comments, but I don't want to see City, Chelsea, Scousers chiming in. Nicholas Andriauskas says, in the right circumstances with the right sell, Maguire is solid. Just a high line, isn't it? Yashgami says, as a backup to close the game off in a low block, he's okay. This is what I mean. It's all like he's okay. He's doing, you know, he's all right. And for him and for United, is that enough? You know, do you want your £80 million captain? He's still the club captain, being someone you bring in just to see a game out, or someone that, you know, he's playing in the games that don't matter as much as the other ones? I don't think so. I think it could be time for him to move on. We'll wait and see what happens with that. As always, if we have any developments, we'll give you an update. I just want to talk quickly about the Amazon bid, because this seems to be on the back of an Athletic article that I mentioned yesterday's news, that United could have another bid for the club. We spoke about Amazon being in for it, and then it says Indian multi-billionaire Mukesh Ambani is the latest to be linked with the Red Devils. We've got a video coming out later on this afternoon with Joe Smith, where basically the Athletic did an article, I think it was Laurie Whitwell, his friend of the channel, has been on a few times. He did a bit of a deep dive into what's happening with the takeover, how it all transpired, what the latest is, who's involved, who's been linked with buying the club. Excuse me. There you can see the Glazers report asking price of $4 billion will be no problem for Ambani, whose net worth of $75 billion. I had an article yesterday that's saying his net worth was $90 billion. So he's either lost $15 billion overnight or someone was getting it wrong. Anyway, we'll get into that later on this afternoon, so make sure you're checking that out. It'll be out around 4 o'clock, I think we're putting that out. But there's going to be loads of people linked with it. Yesterday's story was actually that Ambani kid wasn't that interested. He was just dead rich and could buy us if he wanted to. But apparently his son's an Arsenal fan and he's been linked with Liverpool. I don't know. But, Joe will go through the article and you can all get involved and let us know what you think. I just want to enjoy the moment at the minute. The Glazers are going. Let's enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of people saying, what if we get this and what if we get that? And I understand that. I've been saying it myself, to be fair. But, the Glazers look like they're on the way out, and that's what we've been waiting for 17 long years. Should we talk about Manchester United's... 5 players' contracts. So we've got 5 players here who they're out of contracts, I think, in... soon, the final 6 months. You've got De Gea, Dalot, Shaw, Fred and Marcus Rashford. I mentioned this briefly in the news yesterday. There are going to be some decisions to make. Marcus Rashford's obviously the big one, but as I just mentioned there with Dalot, we're looking at another right back. Dalot's been playing well. Barcelona, I had this in the news yesterday about Barcelona were in for looking at Diogo Dalot, and he starts pretty high. Don't forget Dalot. He's played in Italy, he's played for AC Milan, he's played well for Portugal, he's been having a good spell for Manchester United, he's still relatively young. There's a player that a lot of clubs will be looking at, especially if they can get him for nothing, and going, yeah, we'd have him. So Manchester United might have to make a decision there. You've obviously got the likes of Luke Shaw as well. Marcus Rashford's the big one, though, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I'm hopeful that we can keep Marcus Rashford. You can see there the quote from Ten Hag. He said, we are talking to them to extend their contracts, but we are in control, and all the players, we have options, and we will exercise these options. So, yeah, listen, we've got options on him. You can trigger the 1-year extension, and then you can take it from there. I just hope we don't let anyone go who we don't want to see leave, specifically Marcus. And to be honest with you, you can probably throw Dalot and even Luke Shaw into that mix as well. De Gea, I'm not so sure what's happening there. There was talk maybe he might take a pay cut. We'll have to wait and see. And it seems like Fred might be leaving, which is a bit of a shame because he's becoming a bit of a fan's favourite, hasn't he, Fred? It's weird. At one point, everyone didn't seem to rate him, and now everyone really likes him. Should we move on? Should we talk about Cody Gakpo? Yes, the talk of the town. The latest here is that the PSV Eindhoven chief, has admitted, the director of football, Marcel Brands, that the club are preparing to sell him in the January transfer window. He's given an interview and he's more or less said, you know what, Gakpo, he's going. You can see there's the quote there. You have to be realistic when you talk about Cody Gakpo and the price tag. How many clubs are able to buy the player of that calibre? You're talking about maybe 10 or 12 clubs in Europe. You need to have a player in that position and be able and willing to spend the money in January, which is normally less hectic than the summer. We have yet to see if it all happens. He has no clause or anything. And no amounts have been agreed either. The agreements that were made were there before my time. Amounts have not been discussed, but if the right club comes that Cody would like to go, those agreements, he's basically saying, then you know in which direction it should go. Yeah, he's just saying, if someone comes in for him, they can have him, basically. He's not trying to get rid of him, but he's resigned to losing him. Now, Manchester United have been linked with this kid since the summer. Erik obviously knows him, rates him. When I say knows him, he didn't manage him. He's at PSV, but played against him in the same way he'll have known he knew Tyrone Malacia. So there seems to be a little bit of fire to the smoke. We've linked with him quite a lot. The prices that were quoted aren't ridiculous. With anything from sort of as low as 30 million to as high as sort of 60 million euros. So it's doable. Now, you'd expect him to be around 50 million because of the World Cup he's had, the season he's having. I don't like buying players just based on the World Cup, but I don't think we would be buying him just based off the World Cup because we've been linked with him before the World Cup. So it's not like it's just, look what he's done in the World Cup, let's get him. This is a player who's been smashing it in the Arriva Divisa this season. he's got 9 goals in 14 games and he's got 13 goals in all competitions. So he's on fire. I think he's a player that does like to cut in from left, doesn't he? But he can play down the middle. Very similar to Marcus Rashford in that respect. But we'll have to wait and see. Ant L says, Gakpo would not know for me. If we sign him, we will lose one of Garnacho, Sancho or Rashford. Maybe more than one of them. Yeah, someone saying Rashi's extension was triggered. I saw a story that was saying it was going to be triggered. I don't know if that's confirmed, is it? Let me just have a little look here. I mean, I think it will be. I didn't know if it was is it a done deal there? Yeah, the story said is they will trigger it. There was one in the Telegraph yesterday. There's one in the Sky Sports, I think, quoting someone, and the Daily Mail saying will activate the extension. So I don't know if it's done yet. I think it was more a case of it's going to be done. But there's no doubt that we're going to trigger the extension. The question is he going to sign a long-term deal? Marcus has been linked with PSG. We've been linked with PSV's Cody Gakpo. Can we get him? Let's have a look. Let's say and see. Someone's saying Steve confirmed it yesterday. Well, you can't argue with Steve Howson, yeah, can you? Yeah, that was the Telegraph story was saying. It was Luke Edwards in the Telegraph. But I think it was saying trigger. They are activating, so they're going to. I think was the sort of thing. I don't know if it's done. It's going to be done, but I don't know if it's been triggered. Steve's saying it's done. He's over there over there in Qatar, but you know what he's like. He's got his nose in everything on it. So I don't think there's any qualms there. Make sure you're hitting that like button, please. We've got almost 1,000 people watching, not even 100 likes. Come on, man. Hit that like button as well. Don't forget, if you've not done already, to give us a subscribe. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. With your support, we can do it. We've got an event coming up in Dublin. I've just put a link in the chat there. There's going to be myself, Stephen Howson, Adam McCullough, Joe Smith, and Brian McClare, a fully fledged, absolute legend for Manchester United. Spent about 15 years at the club as both a player and a coach. Coached the likes of Marcus Rashford, players like that. And also, as a player, won 4 Premier League titles, I think it was, 2 FA Cups, scored in a couple of finals, played hundreds of games, scored over 100 goals, scored 30 goals in a season once, the first player since George Best to do that. So come and join us in Dublin on the 30th of December. There's a link in the chat there. We want to see you down there. It'd be great to get the support of you guys. A first ever live event at Stretford Paddock. We're all very excited. And trust me, Chucky has got so many great stories and we'll have a good laugh. Also, while I'm plugging stuff, we've got the 12 Days of Paddock for our members. If you join our membership, you can take part in the 12 Days of Paddock. I never do this, do I? Like, no. Absolute shambles. There, you can never do it. You can join our 12 Days of Paddock. Each day we'll be giving away a prize when you enter our membership. And on the 12th day, you'll get a chance to win £500 cash money, man. Proper cash money in your pocket. We've got extra videos and content on our members section, including a little vlog I did when I met the King down in London recently. So that'll be up later on. So make sure you're checking them out. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments. Someone's saying happy birthday then. Is it someone's birthday? I've missed that. Sorry if I've missed the birthday shout out. But we're back later on, and make sure you are checking out the member section, hitting like, share and subscribe. If you can get down to Dublin, please do as well. This has been the Paper Talk with me, Jay Motty. Thanks for watching.